Willie McKinney, who is the CEO of McKinney Specialty Labs and McKinney Regulatory Science Advisors.
At the time, I was working 3 jobs. I was teaching, I was doing a postdoc, and consulting all at the same time. I said, "You're going to pay me that much for one job?" Okay. A professor of mine basically said, "Look, I can protest outside all day, tobacco, this, cigarettes, that. If the company wants to change, they need people like you to do research and develop better products and things like that."
What was the driving emotional or mental factor for wanting to start your own business?
And I realized these companies don't have the infrastructure that the big companies have. So here I have this skill set, and there appears to be a need, and that's exactly what happened.
Let's just say you have 5 minutes with 2020 Willie. What would you tell, 6 years ago, your former self?
Welcome to the Richmond Leadership Lab, featuring business and nonprofit leaders across Richmond, Virginia. Produced and hosted by Filmspire and BenX.
Welcome back to another episode of the Richmond Leadership Lab podcast. I am Taylor Quinn, CEO of Filmspire and Richmond Podcast Studio, which produces the Richmond Leadership Lab. I'm joined, as always, by our wonderful, handsome, and happy early birthday co-host, Christian Mosier.
Thanks, man.
BenX. Happy birthday, man.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, it's exciting.
21, right?
21. Yep. So I can have my first legal drink, which I'm really looking forward to.
Very nice.
How are you doing?
Very nice. I am good. We're moving into summer now. It's early June when we are recording this, so that feels good. And just the warm weather. You got a baseball game you're going to. It just feels like summer is settling in now.
It does. And one thing I wanted to say, and by the time this podcast comes out, because we're recording early June, it'll come out late June.
Yeah.
So we'll have some more World Cup results.
True,
but
yes.
I took my dad. So my dad's birthday was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and he's a big soccer fan.
Right.
So I ended up surprising him with U.S. men's national team tickets to the friendly against Senegal.
Oh, man.
Which was like June 2nd, I think, or somewhere around there. It was last weekend. And we had a blast.
That's
and
awesome.
I am hook, line, and sinker for the national team right now. I'm
great.
all in.
Man, this is going to turn into a FIFA podcast if we don't stop soon. We've got a great guest today, though. We're very excited. Christian, why don't you tell us about Willie?
Yeah, I would love to. So I've known Willie for the last few years now. Willie's become a friend, and it's been awesome, at least from my point of view, to see the impact that he's made in multiple different organizations and just in the industry as a whole, I would say. And so I'm really excited to introduce our guest, Willie McKinney, who is the CEO of McKinney Specialty Labs and McKinney Regulatory Science Advisors. Willie, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you, Christian. Thank you, Taylor, for inviting me. I was just listening to you guys. I'm like, we got the voice, we got the looks. I tell you, what the heck?
That's the right order, too.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, right. How was you came back from Miami, it sounds like. How was that? How was that flight? You must be probably pretty exhausted, but thank you for being here.
Yeah, we landed about midnight, but it was definitely worth the trip. It was a conference we were attending and had an opportunity to interact with a lot of potential clients. So that's always good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is always good. And you're looking good in the green jacket, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what people say, the McKinney green.
There you go.
That's our company color, so...
I like that.
I didn't know if we
McKinney
would be on
green.
camera or sitting at my radio. Yeah, so I'll put the
this camera.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Willie, I'm getting to meet you for the first time right now, which is great. I know you and Christian have known each other for some time, but for myself and also for our audience, can you just tell us a little bit about your story, your background, and things like that? Kind of where you grew up and how you kind of got into this whole world of the industry that you were in. I see you're also got your doctorate. Is that correct?
That's
as well, too? So Dr. McKinney, I guess we should be addressing you by. But
no, Willie's fine.
Perfect. Tell us about yourself. Where'd you grow up and how did you get to this industry, this world?
Yeah, so I was raised in Memphis, Tennessee.
Great.
And when I was deciding what college to go to, you take the ACT or SAT. I took the ACT and made nearly a perfect score in science. So it's like, well, that's probably what I should do something like that. And
I did not do well in these. Yeah. You probably crushed me. Go
Shocker.
ahead. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You guys know each other quite well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And went to Xavier University undergrad. Didn't do particularly well because it's in New Orleans and, it's a fun city.
Yeah.
But managed to graduate, and with the help of a professor, went to graduate school, North Carolina Central, for a master's degree. And that's when I really, really got serious about the academics and transitioned over to the UNC School of Public Health, where I earned a doctorate, and then did a postdoc at NYU. And that's when Philip Morris called. Wow. And at the time, I was working 3 jobs. I was teaching, I was doing a postdoc, and consulting all at the same time. I said, "You're going to pay me that much for one job?" Okay, that's a win.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. So moved to Virginia and started working for Philip Morris, and moved up the ranks, and retired recently as Vice President of Regulatory Sciences. And that means that there were various scientific disciplines that reported to me: behavioral science, chemistry, toxicology. And I also started interacting with FDA at that point. So that's a bit of my background. I mean, I can keep going with the company stuff if you guys want to hear it. But I figure we talk about that later.
One of the things I think is interesting you said, and I feel like everyone has kind of a similar story. You mentioned a professor helped, right? I feel like, and I have my own story, right? A certain professor, that you clicked with, that maybe took you from where you were and then maybe, helped you out here or helped you out in this way or helped you get in here. And I feel like professors and just teachers in general a lot of times are underrated, especially in that capacity.
Yeah, especially those that tell you what you need to hear, but not what you want to hear. So this one professor, she passed away recently, Sister Grace Mary Flickinger. And she pulled me in the office. She said, what are you doing? What are you doing? Look at your grades. And you have the ability to make better grades. There's some people I see they don't have the capability, but you, and she was yelling at me, man, and I straightened up. Nuns can be pretty tough.
Yeah.
And then she went on to open doors. She made calls to North Carolina Central and said, "Hey, I got a kid. His grades don't look good, but I know he can do the work." And so with that, they accepted me.
Nice.
Yeah.
When did that click? You mentioned like the undergrad, I kind of got through, but then the grad school is kind of when it like really clicked for you. Like, what was it what was the shift, the pivot in your mind that helped make that click, that transition for you?
Well, you're out if you don't keep a B average, so I didn't want to be out.
Got to lock in, yeah.
Sometimes guardrails are important. I'm learning in my life. It's good to have strong guardrails,
May I ask, what was it about science overall that seemed really interesting to you or that kind of clicked for you?
Well, I'll tell you a couple of things. So in undergraduate, I had my first 2 jobs with science. One summer I was working in a library that didn't have heat, moving books. They were rebuilding the library. It's like, oh, God, I need a job in science. So happened to find out about a job with New Orleans mosquito control.
Okay.
Now, it seems like you'd be working in a building. No. We were in the swamps. And apparently people dump tires in this area. So it's about 100 yards of tires. And I went with the professor, and he was saying, okay, here's what I need you to do. I need you to scoop the water out of the tires, and we're going to put, there's these copepods. They eat mosquito larvae. So it's a biological way to control the mosquito population. And he kicked the tires, and the sky went dark. And I'm like, oh, geez, I'm going to be working here. And he held out his arm, and mosquitoes were landing. And he's like, oh, this is an albopictus. This is a Aedes aegypti. And I'm like, I came home after that. My roommate was like, what happened to you? I mean, I had lumps. Mosquitoes.
Man.
But it was a fun job.
Yeah.
It was a fun job. And then I started working at USDA, trying to address an issue with catfish. Catfish farmers were losing their catfish because there's an algal bloom and the catfish were tasting musty. And we were trying to figure out what was going on. That was kind of cool.
Wow. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Getting your hands dirty and kind of getting that work. Yeah.
Catfish are mean.
Yeah.
We had a big tank of catfish, and man, they could hear you coming when it was time to feed them, and they were just
It's amazing.
Anyway,
What would you say, like through undergrad and graduate and even PhD? What were one or two of your favorite projects to work on?
oh, that's interesting. I don't know.
So far, it's been mosquitoes, catfish, any other animals?
Oh, yeah. Well, my PhD, I did some animal studies, rats primarily, and trying to understand the impact of air pollution on the lung. So I was working at the Environmental Protection Agency while earning the PhD. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
And then you moved to Richmond after school about how
98.
98.
98.
Gotcha.
Okay. Cool.
Gotcha.
So give us the, especially for Christian and I who are younger and things like that, because we've known, I'm not from Richmond. Christian's not from Richmond either originally, things like that. But Philip Morris, I mean, talk about like a legacy in the Richmond area, things like that. What was Philip Morris like at that time, around 98 and things like that? Kind of give us the backstory on that.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of litigation at that time. It's funny. You come in and you're wide-eyed, and one of the guys leaned over and said, you might want to be careful about the notes you take. And I'm like, what? And it's funny. I go through. There's certain sites that have tobacco documents, and so you can Google your name and see what you wrote, emails you sent, all of that stuff was saved. So but it's a fantastic company, Altria.
Yeah.
And the one thing I say is they really develop their people. And so as a scientist, I had an opportunity to work in operations, interact with marketing, and that was really the key to, I think, me being able to start a business. I could understand different areas of the business because they really move you around and have you interact with people.
Yeah, and I feel like legacy companies in Richmond, right? Altria, obviously the whole Dominion situation, which I won't put my thoughts on today, but there's certain companies in Richmond that definitely help uplift the economy, right, and the population. And Philip Morris Altria is definitely one of those. So you were there for a while. You were there for 20 years?
20 years.
Okay.
I was there for 20 years. And during that time, so going into the tobacco space, I must say that going to one of the best schools of public health in the nation, the UNC School of Public Health, and then going into tobacco was an easy transition for me, but I did lose some friends along the way that weren't happy that happened. But I made the transition because a professor of mine basically said, look, I can protest outside all day, tobacco, this, cigarettes, that. And he said, but if the company wants to change, they need people like you to do research and develop better products and things like that. So go in, and by the way, you have options. If you don't like it, you can leave.
Yeah.
And,
True.
I didn't leave.
Yeah.
Leave. Yeah.
And so you were there for 20 years, and then you started McKinney Regulatory Science Advisors.
So after I retired, after 20 years, I actually went to Jewel.
Gotcha.
For about 8 months or so, which was a interesting and really good company, by the way. Just totally different. You got an older company that's more established, a newer startup that's got all this energy and the young people, and it's a new product. And after that, that's when I said, I've always wanted to start a company. I think I'm going to go out on my own. It was really scary.
Yes.
Oh, I hear you on that. So when you went out on your own, what was going through your mind at that time? Because obviously there's so many fears with, starting something, right? Because there's a lot of unknowns. And obviously as humans, the fear of the unknown is definitely a traditional fear.
Yeah, I was thinking about severance and retirement. I was like, okay, I got 6 months. I got to get this thing going. I was so excited. And I had some good people that just volunteered and helped me. I'll mention his name, Zane Gibbs, for example.
I was going to say, I'm really good friends with Zane, actually. I was going to say, you have to know Zane Gibbs.
Oh, yeah. And
cool.
He came over, because I wanted to name the company something. He was like, no. We have to use your name as you have credibility. I was like, oh, okay. And they helped set up the helped me get set up and website and all of that. As a matter of fact, I launched a website before I actually left Jewel, and Jewel called, you still work here, right? It's like, yeah, I got it. I'll take it down.
Yeah. And that was pre-Claude. That's
there you go. Yeah.
Now you can throw a website together in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned it was in the back of your mind of like, maybe I want to start this. What was that? Dig deeper for me if you can. Like, what was kind of behind the idea of like, what was the driving emotional or mental factor for wanting to start your own business?
Well, I've been in the tobacco space for a number of years, and working at Altria, we were always focused on how can we improve the product, make it less harmful, that type of thing. And so, but then this new category of products emerged, and consumer-driven, and all of these new companies, and innovation was just going through the roof. And I realized, and by the way, regulation happened with FDA in 2009, that these companies don't have the infrastructure that the big companies have. The regulatory scientists, the regulatory affairs professionals, and I thought, it's a great time. So here I have this skill set, and there appears to be a need, and that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
So we were serving small and mid-sized companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can, tell us about your companies and the brand, and tell us all, for everyone who's never heard of it, tell us all about it.
Well, the name of the company is, the first company that was started in 2020, McKinney Regulatory Science Advisors. And we basically help small, mid-sized nicotine companies prepare applications to FDA, engage with FDA, and ultimately either keep or get their products on the marketplace. Because there is a lengthy, expensive process to do that. And just 3 years ago, had the opportunity to purchase the largest nicotine product testing lab in the United States, formerly known as Enthalpy, but now McKinney Specialty Labs. Wow. So we're 57,000 square feet, approximately 100 people, and we test every type of nicotine product you can name. And the data that we generate is primarily for companies that want to innovate, R&D, and for FDA. So we're an accredited lab.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's so interesting too, visiting the lab, and seeing the process and seeing the people and how the juice gets made behind the scenes. So walk me back a little bit. You started, McKinney Regulatory Science Advisors during COVID, which is a good time to start, right? Good time to start. Yeah. It's like 2008, right? Good time to start. And so the company was doing well, McKinney Regulatory Science Advisors. You had a few employees at the time, and obviously, some clients, and it was doing good work at the time. And then I know, along with a couple other people, decided, hey, there's this opportunity, let's pursue it. Walk me through that moment, because you're like, hey, I'm 3 years in, give or take at that time, and things are going okay, and now it's a lot different of a beast, right? You're talking about a large lab. You're talking about, more people, more square feet, more expenses, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So walk me through that process.
Well, the consulting business was doing well, and I think that's where we met you, and you've been helping us out quite a bit. And we started. The scariest thing was bringing on the first employee. It's like, oh God, I got to make one salary. And then rumor had it that the lab, which was owned by a huge environmental firm, this particular lab focused on nicotine, was for sale. And my first thought was, okay, thank you for that information. But then I started thinking, I said, well, I'll look into it. And somebody who I respect, an executive at Altria, I'll say his name, Jack Nelson, I went and had lunch with him. And his advice was, why would you do that? That's not a good investment. Nah. He was rattling off all the reasons you shouldn't. So I was like, yeah, I'm kind of there. And went back and said, nah, I'm going to pass. But then they sweetened the deal. Yeah, and I was like, okay, let me go talk to Jack again. And even he went, let's think about this. And the next thing you know, we were rolling.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it is a different beast, too.
It has to be.
Yeah, the beast likes to eat.
Yeah.
And so you go out and you just got to make sure there's enough business coming in to sustain the business.
Mm-hmm. Right, and the right clients and the right mix and the work, obviously, to be there. Because you weren't looking for that opportunity, though, right? Like, because when you were at the consulting firm, you were just like, hey, I have my own business. Like, you weren't like, I want to buy a lab, right? Kind of really more the opportunity.
No.
Yeah.
my focus was, how do I take the consulting business from Willie to a firm? Like law firms, you hear the name of a law firm and you don't even think about the people that started it. It is this firm and their reputation. So that was my focus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the opportunity presented itself and the stars lined up.
So what kind of shift did you have to make mentally once you acquired the lab? It's like, okay, now I have this huge new entity. What kind of mental shift did you have to take knowing with that new responsibility you had?
Yeah, so I think being at Altria was very helpful. And when I left, I had over 100 people reporting to me and the different scientific disciplines. And Altria is big on culture and strategy. And so now you have a lot of employees. You need a dedicated HR function, dedicated finance. And by the way, you want to protect people's data, so you need a good IT person. The infrastructure just, you just had to think differently about it.
Yeah. Wow.
And especially when you're, I remember when I, hired our first employee at BenX, very similar mindset. It's like, well, what are we doing? What's what's going on?
They have a family. They want to, it's like, okay, I got to make it happen.
Yeah. But you went from that, having a few employees at the consulting practice to pretty much overnight. Now, I say overnight. It was obviously a process, right? It was a year long or a lot of work went in by a lot of different people to make that, purchase and process for the lab portion happen. But overnight, you went from, 4 or 5 employees to 90 or 100.
Yeah.
And so your mindset, you obviously had experience at Altria leading people, but how was it when you, kind of to Taylor's question, when you first started, you're like, hey, I'm managing 4 people, I have 4 direct reports or whatever the exact number was to, okay, payroll is different.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot different.
We were running payroll and it was X. Okay, we could do that. And then now payroll's Y. How did you deal with that shift or because did you have to, because I think in my experience, the reason I'm so curious is it's so hard to focus on what you can control and not let everything else crowd that out. How did you focus, I guess, on what you could control versus just looking at this bigger operation and just saying, I gotta.
Yeah. So there's a book I read, and I think it's John Marshall, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And it basically talks about the skills and capabilities you need as you move up in a company. You start out, you're an individual contributor. Then you become a manager, slightly different skills, then a manager of managers. And you're then, or I'd say director level, you're really holding people accountable, and you're also interacting with vice presidents. Once you become a vice president, things are happening. You don't know everything that's happening, but you need to have infrastructure where you can know in general how your organization is functioning. And I'd say as a CEO, you're even further removed, but also your job is to interact with the clients and really make sure that they're happy, they're satisfied, and they're gonna come back.
Yeah.
But with a small company like 100 people, though, you still have to do a deep dive every now and then into issues. And one book I read, Jim Collins, Good to Great. One of the most important things you can do is put the right people in the right seat on the bus. And we went through a few people in various seats, but man, we got a good team now. And that makes my job easier.
Yeah. So silly question maybe. So when you purchased the lab, did that come with people and staff and things like that were already there? What was that like then to like all right, now we're a new thing. We're a new team almost. Like, how do you start kind of building that? And you're building on that, getting the right people in the right seats on the bus. How do you start building that culture? Because you had a great culture at Altria and experiencing that. How do you build that at your companies?
I think one of the first things is to understand what the current culture is, and to be thoughtful about what I say. But the culture wasn't a client-focused culture, the previous culture. And so we set out our vision, our mission, the criteria by which we're going to operate. And, some people decided to leave, and some people we asked to leave. But we were focused on a client-focused culture. That's the only way you survive. And that's not to say that the client is always right. Mm-hmm. That just means that we're going to tell you what you need to hear. And if we mess up, we'll apologize, et cetera. But it's all about the clients.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's almost bringing that consulting mindset into a different environment, too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Because even when we're talking with clients, when I first started BenX almost 4 years ago, it's like the client's always right. Whatever they want. Slowly but surely you realize, well, maybe not all of them,
Right.
Yeah.
But it is your job as a consultant, and we say it all the time, to not be a yes man.
That's exactly right.
Because why would someone pay us just to be like, great idea, great idea, great idea, great idea, great idea? Like, you're paying us because we, the experience and the knowledge that we have and the markets and the industry, you don't pay us just to say yes to everything. So you probably brought that consulting mindset into the lab.
Absolutely. And I think now we have the culture that we want. I see people interacting with clients the right way. There's an example where a client came and before we go to clients, if there's an issue, like we were picking up menthol in a product, and it wasn't a menthol product, so we said, you know what, maybe we did something wrong. So we ran samples, and we did. Finally, it was like, I don't think this is us. So we would talk to the client. Of course, they were like, no, it is. No, you guys. And then later on, they came back, you know what, we did some research. It's us.
It's not you, it's me.
It's me. You were right. Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
We said, we'd still like to run samples for you.
Yeah. That's great.
So when you took, obviously, the extra employees in the lab and all that stuff, what is something that you're working through? Like you mentioned, like your priorities as a CEO, right?
Yeah.
How have your priorities shifted in the last couple of years since you took over the lab? Because I imagine when you went in, you probably had this set of here's my priorities, here's the goals, and I imagine they've probably shifted over.
Because how many years have you had the lab now?
This is our third year.
Third year, okay.
Yeah, so we're a toddler, and so the interesting is being a CEO of two companies has been a wonderful challenge. This is the toughest thing I've ever done. And I tell people I only work half a day, right? That's 12 to 16 hours, right? Half a day is 12 hours. And the second job starts maybe at 5:30, 6 o'clock, because you still have things you have to do. And I'm still a subject matter expert to some extent, even though I don't do that as much. But the focus is on, I said the client focus, but we also have an employee focus. And we listen to employees, we do surveys, and we want them to be happy and want to work. As a matter of fact, we have a kickball team, and they did extremely well this year.
And what's their name again?
Oh, the periodic table dancers.
That's a great name.
So,
the periodic table dancers.
Yeah, we let them. A lot of creativity.
Yeah. We had a meeting with them a couple months ago, and they had their first win or their second win, and everyone it was a fun day in the office.
That's amazing. I want you to continue on that, the two hats in the two companies to a degree, because I feel that pressure a little bit for myself. So I run Filmspire, we're a content creation strategy firm basically, but then I also have the separate division, which is Richmond Podcast Studio, basically. So it feels like I got to put one hat on, then the other, and then like one gets like left as like the stepchild you forget about for a bit, and then you got to come back to it and things like that. Like, how do you balance that? I mean, even practically, tangibly, how do you balance doing both?
Well, I see my job as more and more is to kind of make a few decisions.
Okay.
And, there's two groups or departments that when they come see you, you just go, oh boy, that's the CFO. Normally he's a good guy. He comes to see me just to say hello. But oftentimes there's some issue that we got to deal with. And then HR. Yeah. And so when they come see you, well, IT too. Yeah, you got to pay attention to them. But you hear the problem, and 9 times out of 10, that when you have a good group, they come with solutions, and you just have to make a choice. So that's good. But I'm focused on scaling, right? Not necessarily with the lab, but still with the consulting business.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this short message.
Are employee benefits a headache for your company? At BenX, we simplify benefits so you can focus on growing your business. From custom benefit solutions to cutting-edge technology, we make it easy for companies to take care of their teams. Visit benxconsulting.com to see how we can simplify benefits for your growing company.
Your story is powerful, but is it reaching the right audience? At Filmspire, we create compelling videos and provide marketing strategies to make sure they drive real results. From crafting your message to amplifying it, we help you connect with your audience like never before. Ready to inspire? Let's tell your story.
And now, back to the show.
Look like in the scaling as far as like how that affects your day-to-day priorities.
Yeah, the scaling is quiet time. Thinking about that, it's reading, it's using Claude. It's how do I
talk to me?
do this? Yeah. But the day-to-day, we hit the ground running in the morning. Phone calls while driving into work. It's go, 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 go.
You mentioned Claude. Everyone's talking about Claude. AI.
I know.
It's nuts.
I know.
What it can do and all that.
Have you seen, I'm curious with like the science and laboratory testing, what is AI doing to that industry?
Yeah, I see AI being, well, you still have to have people to process samples, run samples and things like that. But in terms of QC, it could be the first screen. Although we have some contracts with some clients and they know AI, which is perfectly fine. And we have a wonderful method development team. A lot of people don't know, but FDA prefers you to have validated methods when you're analyzing something. And so our team can use AI to get a base, and it goes out and finds information, says, here's how we think you should do it, and then they evaluate that. So it saves a lot of time of them doing the research.
Wow.
And I feel like, especially with those long documents and PDFs and stuff that you've had to comb through in the past, right? It can kind of help with those situations. Take something that's 45 minutes long into 7.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is really helpful.
Yeah.
I think, Willie, there's, our listeners a lot of times are different leaders in different companies, whether that's, for-profit, nonprofit, whether that's, varying industries. One of the things I think CEOs and leaders have a tough time with, right? Whether it's 50 employees, 100 employees, 200 employees, or even 20 employees, right? All across the spectrum, is how do you balance as a CEO, as a leader of an organization, the day-to-day responsibilities, like the phone calls, the things that you have to do, right?
Yeah.
Versus the 3-year, 5-year, versus the, where we're heading. How do you manage kind of the day-to-day versus the vision?
Not well.
Yeah.
No. So every year, so one of the jobs I had at Altria was leading their strategic product planning group. And so really planning and having strategy meetings and setting those strategy meetings up and setting the strategy for the company, and it all rolls up. Here's the company strategy. Big companies will plan 5 years out, right, based on the environment. And so we have a strategy meeting every year. Bring everybody together, one place. We outline the environment because I don't know if you guys know, but the nicotine environment, it's a tough environment.
In what way?
Well, whenever you have a new government center that regulates a product, and with all the emotion associated with nicotine and cigarettes, it's tough. And so the agency was learning the environment, learning the players, learning how to regulate these companies. The companies, of course, were pushing for clarity from the regulators. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
You know, how do I get through the process? Well, you just denied me, and now I got to pull my product off the market. Well, I can't make and lawsuits, and it's just been crazy. It's settling down a little bit now, and so understanding that environment and then planning, how do you navigate that? Because if manufacturers are uncertain, then they're not spending money for testing. Why should I generate?
Because it could be pulled.
Yeah. Why should I spend this money and give it to the agency if I know that they're not going to authorize my product, right? And so understanding that, and then you have to have another strategy, right? To keep the business going.
Yeah. And change the mind, and depending on the political and economic factors, especially in your business, right?
Oh yeah.
Because. And just kind of a rudimentary question, but in the nicotine space, when you say like getting approval, do all products have to get approval?
In the United States, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
So to be like on a market or on a gas station or be sold, they have to.
Yes, but that is not the case.
Got it.
The biggest players, and I could name some of the products, but I'm not. But I would say that market share, 80% or so, is illicit products that have never submitted an application or gone through FDA. And FDA is trying to deal with that, and it's not easy.
Is it more of an ask for forgiveness situation for them, or is it?
I don't think it's an ask
versus
for
permission.
It's just they've been doing, and but the agency's cracking down on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with how much it's consumer driven, right? All the different products from, obviously it used to just be cigarettes, right? Now it's electronic cigarettes. Now it is pouches. Now it's, it's a ton of different things, I feel like now.
That's absolutely correct. And on the consulting side, that's why we push people to do testing. If you don't know what's in your product, you shouldn't be selling it, period. And if someone gets hurt, they're going to sue you, and you're going to say, well, I didn't know that was in there. And is that a good thing?
Is that an excuse? No.
Yeah,
That's not.
Oops.
Yeah. Oops is not a good strategy.
It's like a restaurant, right? Like, well, we didn't know how we made it. I don't know how we made that sandwich, but
it just got made somehow.
There are lots of responsible players out there, and we tend to work with and guide a lot of responsible nicotine product manufacturers. So, but there are some out there that are not.
Yeah. How do you, in your process for growing and scaling and finding new clients and partners to work with, how do you identify like who would be a good fit for you guys? Almost qualifying like that potential lead, because probably not everyone's a good fit for you guys. Maybe how you operate or what you're looking for. What do you look for in terms of like an ideal client prospect to work with?
No, that's a fantastic question. We have a great relationship with FDA. They are a regulator, but we respect what they do. Our chief regulatory science officer actually was a lead reviewer at FDA, and one of our advisors developed FDA's. He was at FDA as well. And he developed their inspection. So to FDA, and then I've interacted with FDA quite a bit. And in addition, at Altria, I was accountable as the toxicologist for signing off on product changes, which is a big deal, guys. It's tough. And so when we talk with a client, if they want us to do things, to cut corners, and it's kind of like, well, this is how we do things. And if you want to work with us, that's fine. If not, I'm sure you'll find somebody that will do exactly what you want to do.
A yes man.
A yes man.
Yeah.
How did you work to define the ways you operate, your processes, your systems? Is that kind of taking out everything you learned at Altria and the other places and then adding your own little flavor to it? Like, what did that look like when you were kind of figuring out, obviously we know what we're going to do, but how we are going to work is going to follow this way. What was that like?
Oh my God, process. So yeah, that's a great question. So it starts out, I'll just say that when I was at a big company, it's like, what are these finance guys doing? Oh my God, what are these purchasing people doing? Legal? Oh God, it's taking them so long. What are they doing? But then when you own a small company, now I don't practice law, but you're reviewing an NDA and you're working closely with, you do it all. Accounts receivable, accounts payable, and you begin to like appreciate those departments. And so the consulting side started out just me. And then we started, there's a consulting firm, we got a fractional CFO, right? There are HR companies out there now. We were using Bamboo HR, I think. And just, there's software where one person can do a lot now. On the lab side, that infrastructure came with the company, which is great.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of process. But you build process as you're going through it. You're documenting and saying, this worked, this didn't work. And we actually brought a third party in to interview us. How are you doing things? Asking questions. And eventually she built several flow charts and we could see our process.
Did that help provide more clarity? And how do you then communicate that to your employees, your staff, and things like that? What did that look like?
Yeah, there were only about 4 of us. So it was, they were interviewed and they saw it. But I'd say that process lasted maybe 6 months. But as you grow, you have to modify, change, throw things out, and keep tweaking. But at least you have a base and a foundation.
I used to think process before I started BenX was a pie in the sky word. Yeah, I used to think it was like, oh, process. Like what does that even really mean, right? But then you start and then you go through it and you're like, well, it really just means what's the system or the intent or the steps behind the task, right? So it's like, we did well here, we didn't do well here. Let's adjust here, let's adjust here.
Yeah, KPIs. But in addition to that, you think about it, you hire an employee and they're like, well, what do you want me to do? And you're like, oh, you'll figure it out. Or you point to a process. This is how we do things, and I'd like for you to take this piece right here. Oh, thank you. There's clarity, right?
Yeah. Speaking of clarity, especially with the lab, with more employees, how have you been able to define the role clarity and the job, the right people in the right seats? Because I imagine that was a process in of itself.
Yeah, it was. We working with HR, we reviewed the roles and the people and their skill set, and made sure that the fits were adequate. But you, as a CEO, you just have this list of things you want to do. Employees, skill set, knowledge, capability, equipment. Where are we with equipment? Where are we vulnerable? Where is our single point of failure? Because that's what you have to go after right away. That machine breaks down, we're down for, 6 weeks, a month, 2 months. And we got to move samples. That's how, it's like a plane. Turn it around as quick and get it back in the air because that's where it's making money.
It's not making money just sitting there in the runway.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Willie, looking back on your time so far, like, is there a moment that, two-part question, a moment where it's like, maybe like a lesson or like that there was an error, a mistake, kind of like a hard lesson to learn, but what you took from that, and then something you're like a victory you're really, really proud of and things like that. So you can tackle whichever one you want first. A moment you're super proud of and a one was like, that was a real lesson learned because of that.
Yeah. Wow. That's a fantastic question.
Thank you.
Taylor's good at what he does.
He is. I would say a huge learning if I were to ever purchase a business again. I think we did a deep dive into the numbers, but having more of a conversation with clients of that business to understand the gaps, what they like, what they didn't like. We did that after the purchase and our eyes were open, but I do that before. Negotiate that. That's part of the deal. Huge successes. We have made huge strides the two companies now are really working well together. As I said, I have this wonderful leadership team. They are experts in their area. They have the right attitude. It's just, that is a huge success and takes stress off of me, but it takes stress off of them as well. Because they cover for each other, and I'd put any one of them in front of a client to talk about an issue on any day.
Mm-hmm. And even, I'm sure, some of the successes too, just from my peripheral, seeing you all grow in the last few years, is probably some of the the work that you're doing with the clients as well.
Yeah.
Right, because I remember, when you first took it, it's like, here we go, But then being able to build kind of more of a structure and a value add, I would say.
We are, I read about the different generations, and the younger generation is purpose driven. And so when we have town halls, we try to help them understand what they're doing and the importance of what they're doing. And so we are helping clients that make alternatives to cigarettes, put products on the market, and if people switch to these products, they will reduce their harm. They will live longer, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the goal. And it's purpose driven.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Putting that vision in front of them, their why, and striving, keeping that in mind, things like that. So those town halls, what kind of came up with those ideas? What kind of inspired that thought?
An informed workforce. And so we talk about how the business is doing. If I've traveled or something and talked to a client or clients, what are clients saying about us? And then we talk about whatever they want. They get to ask questions. I'm on the hot seat. But yeah, to have an informed workforce and to continue to talk about the purpose, because you have new people coming in. And we talk about kickball.
Nice.
The fun things that are going on.
Yeah.
We'll test some things, and then we'll hit some balls, and there we go.
Yeah, I keep telling the team I want to participate in the dragon boat races. Have you guys done that?
No. What's that?
Yeah, so I think it's in August. There's boat racing down on the river.
Okay.
And Altria used to have a team, and it's a dragon boat, this long boat, and I guess there's about 10 people in the boat. And you're not doing it for speed because the boat's got a big dragon head on it. So so
it's like a literal dragon.
Yeah, it's a dragon head on it.
That's amazing.
But there are some professional rowers that come and they actually race, and it's amazing to watch them. They're very crisp, no water splashing.
That's great.
And you can sponsor a boat, practice, and get out there and race against, Altria, Dominion, whoever.
That's fun. That's
and
cool.
take it to them.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful evening. There's food, and it's a good time on the river.
Yeah.
That.
A little totally different question. A little bit. I'm curious about. It depends, I'm sure, the company sizes and the different leaders we've had on the show and how big their companies are and their employee count. But as the CEO, you mentioned in many ways you're very removed from the day-to-day, the work, and things like that. But I think it's important as a CEO to still have a sense of maybe access to a degree that your staff, your employees can reach you. What does it look like for how quote unquote accessible are you for your staff, your employees, and things like that? I know some CEOs like open door policy, others like certain hours. What does that look like for you for access and engaging with your staff?
If I have a break, I walk around. If I can eat lunch in our break area, I do that. And I think people feel very comfortable coming up to me. I think I'm somewhat approachable. But I'm intentional about those things and try to remember something about people and go talk with them. But because you do have to be intentional. I could be in my office with the door closed doing video calls all day.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do. But we have some very bright people with some interesting things going on in their life, and I like to hear about it, actually.
Yeah.
And I go to I didn't go to very many kickball games, but I have gone to a few. But I'm so competitive, I start coaching, and they're like,
go.
How do you tell the CEO to stop coaching? We don't need him to coach.
Yeah.
So then anyway.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, it's funny. We've gotten from the, 18 different episodes we've done, we've got a wide range. Some CEOs are like open door policy, whenever.
Yeah.
Others are like, nope, never. And then,
Yeah.
and everything kind of in between.
between. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a great assistant too, and honestly,
Yeah.
sometimes she's like, "Let's go take a walk," and so we walk. She actually, there was an employee that told her he was interested in doing something different, and she brought that to me, and we were out walking, and he was outside having lunch. He said, "You got to go talk to him." Okay, and he moved more into a scientific role. He wasn't in that role before. I talked with him, of course, work with HR and everything legit, but so sometimes you get to hear what people want to do, and they have the talent to do it, and they can help your organization, and you make it happen.
Mm-hmm. I think we'll ask a couple more questions, and we like to kind of the last part of the show. We ask some fun questions,
Okay.
and then some a nonprofit question. But one of the questions that I always ask every guest, and so you started essentially your own business about 6 years ago, give or take, and it's been I know a journey the last 6 years. So let's just say you have 5 minutes with 2020 Willie, right? Just 5. So you can't tell him everything that the 6 years has encompassed or anything like that. But you can go back to your former self in 2020, and you have 5 minutes. What would you tell, 6 years ago, your former self? What pieces of advice or tidbits would you tell Willie?
You got like 2 minutes with him.
Yeah, less than that, too.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
The current position you're in is not as bad as you think. Stop looking down the road and be present. The past is gone. The future's not promised. Be present. A lot of people think working for yourself, I'll do what I want. That's not true, and it is the hardest. Being an entrepreneur is the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah. Much harder than graduate school, much harder than rising up the ranks in a big company. I was talking with a guy who was an entrepreneur, and this is what I tell myself. In a big company, as you move up, more and more you deal with politics, unless you're typing and writing things. Your job is to move things through the system that's complicated. When you're an entrepreneur, very little politics, but there sure is a lot of work and a lot of kind of figuring it out, especially if you have employees. How do I keep them fed?
One thing at a time, too.
One day
What do you
at a
think
time.
makes entrepreneurship so hard?
In big companies, there's a false sense of security. I can go on vacation, work's going to go. You got this big, you got support. The products are established, so some revenue is going to come in. And big companies do cuts. When you're a small company and you're scrappy, I heard a story about Fred Smith with FedEx when he started. He had a little bit of money, and it wasn't enough to make payroll. So he went to Vegas, and apparently he's a really good gambler. And he made enough money to make payroll, so he lived to fight another day. And now look at him. So it's just
Wouldn't recommend that strategy to our listeners out there.
No, I wouldn't recommend it. It's in his book.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right.
That's amazing.
What are you doing next weekend?
Not that.
No, I wouldn't advise that.
Not that.
Yeah, I'll book a plane ticket tonight.
Yeah.
No, I want a couple things that you said I think are fascinating, because Elon Musk said being an entrepreneur is like staring into the abyss and eating glass.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
And that might be a little dramatic, but the point is, of course, that it's like you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring.
You don't. And I'll give you an example. The consulting business was going well. Then all of a sudden the bottom dropped. It's like no calls. It went quiet. I'm like, this is not good. And so you go to bed that night, but you really don't go to bed, and your mind's thinking. What is going on? And then all of a sudden I woke up like, I got it. That uncertainty. People had spent a little bit of money, put in applications, and they didn't trust FDA so they were just like, you know what, we're just going to do our thing. And I said, how can I keep growing the business and get business. And that's when I came up with this idea of, maybe I can alleviate some of that uncertainty, do a gap analysis on their application, let them know what I think their probability of success is. And so people pay for gap analysis just to know where you are, to eliminate some of that uncertainty. So and you're always doing that.
Yeah.
Always thinking like that.
You're always trying to solve a problem.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, one of the things I really struggle with is turning that piece off. Because when you're running a company, even if things are going well, or if they're not going well, or wherever you are in that stage, you're always doing threat assessments.
Absolutely.
Like it's like the more clients we have at BenX and the employees and different stuff, it's just like the more my brain is constantly doing threat assessments. Have you been able to successfully or maybe unsuccessfully, is there a practice that you have? I'd be really curious where it's like, hey, I do X at Y, or I do this, or I do, how do you, because it's easy to almost let that take over your thinking and not be present.
Yeah. No, I can't turn it off. I'll just be frank with you. But I like to say we try to look around corners. And having the lab and the consulting, sometimes we get information that others don't have. And if we start putting together threads, I'll give you an example. There's a chemical now that's on the market. It's not nicotine, but it behaves like nicotine. And we got a hint that this was taken off in the marketplace. And we instantly thought, if this happens, regulators are going to be interested in this. So we immediately started developing methods to measure it, right? Validated those methods. And now we have a capability that we sell because that did. So looking around the corner.
Yeah.
Now, that could be an opportunity or it could have been a threat because, our nicotine, it was a bit of a threat. If our companies that sell nicotine products switched over to that and it's not regulated, they don't have to do testing. Okay, that's a threat to the business. Right.
Yeah.
But we saw it as both an opportunity and a threat.
Yeah, it's almost like a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
It's two sides of the same coin because it's like to a certain extent, you need that, constant innovation and thinking.
You do.
But to a certain extent, on the other side of the coin, you can't let it dominate you.
No.
And that's a delicate balance to have.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. Yeah. That's great. Let's do some fun stuff, should we? We love knowing, I'm curious, like you've been in Richmond now for a while. What do you love most about this city? What do you love most about Richmond?
I tell you what, the food.
Yeah.
In Richmond. The food scene is just taken off.
We always ask, what's the favorite restaurant of yours? Do you have a restaurant you want to?
I do like Mama J's.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorites. Acacia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like them quite a bit.
I've never been there. Where's that?
Acacia is help me out.
They are. No, I can't remember either where they're at.
Right.
Staples Mill somewhere.
Is it up north, or northern part of Richmond?
Where is Acacia?
Yeah, there we go. We use the computer.
There we go.
There we go.
It's like I can see it, but I can't.
Richmond food is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Though. It's underrated too, unless you live here. I feel like.
Yeah, it
is.
seriously
There's so many
is.
good spots. I mean, you have the Fan, you have Church Hill, which has some unbelievable restaurants.
Yeah, they're right at the intersection of Bethlehem. Oh, what is that? Staples Mill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Staples Mill.
Right next to Shag Bark and things
Bark,
like that.
Which is another.
Yeah,
by
which
Libby.
is another. Yeah,
Yep.
the
Shag
Libby
Bark's
Mill,
really good.
Libby
Yeah.
Mill spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many good spots.
Yeah,
And
I'm getting
barbecue
hungry.
is off the chain. It's just
Oh,
amazing.
like ZZQ and some different.
Yeah.
Q.
I'm personally curious if you were not doing what you do today. So let's just say completely different industry. So you didn't get a PhD. You're not in the nicotine industry at all. What do you think you'd be doing?
Yeah, that's a great. Maybe a professor somewhere
Yeah, I like that.
at a university.
Mm-hmm.
I did that for a little while. It was fun. Yeah, that's probably what I would
Cool.
do.
Yeah. You said you had a couple professors that made a
Yeah.
big impact on
yeah.
you too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or go back to tires and mosquitoes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mosquitoes crazy.
That was a fun short-term project.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm curious, what do you do as a CEO, like outside of work, like fun, or how do you find ways to decompress and things like that? Anything you spend time, if there is any time for that?
I haven't been very good at it. I will
Yeah.
say that at one point I rode motorcycles because
Really?
this is a great place to ride motorcycles.
Yeah.
You know, to the mountains, to the beach, and had three different types of motorcycles: a chopper,
Yeah.
a Hayabusa, which is one of the fastest production bikes at one time that they make,
Cool.
and then a huge BMW that's got a windshield and heated seats
Yeah.
and a radio, you know, that type of thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's
You used to ride it all?
amazing.
No. I sold all the motorcycles when I thought I was going to move to California.
Gotcha.
When was that?
When I was Jewel, which was
Got it.
probably 2019.
2019,
Got it.
right
Yeah.
before
Okay.
COVID.
Cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, I have some two grandsons, and one of them is 4, and he's like my mini-me. Everything I do, which we were at the game.
Yeah.
We saw you at the baseball game.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, he
That's
seems to be a good kid. We had breakfast. You know, I know he
That's
came
right.
and-
We had breakfast,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
was talking to the police officers.
Yep.
He was very fascinated with them.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
cool season of life to be in, I bet.
Yeah. You want to wrap it up? Nonprofit?
Yeah. So one thing we always ask every guest is there a nonprofit that they'd like to give a shout out that they're a big fan of, that they support? Because one thing we do as a show is we like to make a small donation to that said nonprofit. So we'd love to know for you, Willie, is there any nonprofit that you're passionate about that you'd love a shout out that we could give a small donation to?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I know people that own nonprofits
Yeah.
and things like that, and it's like you didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to come back.
Yeah.
Look, being from Memphis, St. Jude is a huge staple in Memphis. I
Huge.
grew up with
Yeah.
St. Jude, and so that's at the top of my list.
For sure.
Yeah.
St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
Yeah, they're doing some great work.
Talk about an organization with a legacy of impact for forever. Yeah.
I know, and parents don't pay a dime. So
Yeah.
Wow.
and you know, you think about kids and what they go through, and so St. Jude is at the top of the list.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love that. We had last episode was Emily Tolson, who's the CEO of Ronald McDonald House in Richmond, and even like the ancillary services, you know, that Ronald McDonald House has, or other, you know, nonprofits and healthcare, you know, practices. It's really is such a bundled service, even just with the rooms and the family stay and the meals and
Absolutely.
people doing good work for sure.
It's a tough time. I mean, one of my daughter actually had some health problems, a liver transplant.
Wow.
And it
Oh,
just
wow.
the minute you get that diagnosis, it just
Yeah.
changes your life,
Yeah.
your
Does.
focus, and
Puts things in perspective.
it
for
puts
sure.
things in perspective.
yeah.
And as a scientist, I refocused and said, okay, let me go read the papers. Okay, I understand what the doctor said. Let me
Right.
actually, and she's doing well.
Good.
Oh,
She's
good.
doing
Good.
well. Her and her liver have been getting along for quite some time now.
That's good.
Heck yeah.
Wow.
Awesome. Well, Willie, we can't thank you
Yeah.
enough for
Thank you.
being on the podcast and for the conversation and
This was fun.
all that. Yeah.
I was a little nervous, but you guys make it easy.
Good.
We tried to.
Yeah, we tried. You
Yeah.
did great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we tried to,
Yeah.
and some good stories, and,
Yeah.
and wish you much success with everything that
Yeah.
you
Well,
have
you're
going
on the journey with us. So
We
yes,
are.
and the
We're
same
grateful to
you
be
and
it.
the same to
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you, Willie. We really appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
thank you.